pick a little trowel up, dump it down. Dump it down and just push it in. When you go over the joint, make sure you brush off any excess because you can have stain marks. What's your thoughts on a makeshift do-jobby? So here's a dilemma for people to comment about. Right, so I got this patio, I've got to rejoin, just fair enough because the grouting was rubbish. But what grout do I use? Let me just explain some of the issues why different type of grout might be better. Right, well it does have a bit of a fall going towards the garden area, but there are lots of patches, like straight in front of me there. That's a low point. There's another low point there and there. Here's a low point. There's basically loads of low points. And they were actually quite loose. They weren't laid the best. They haven't been primed. I've been cutting out the joints. The joints are really wide. Pressure washed all the crap out. And some places is like 1.5 inches deep, 2 inches maximum. So what I would normally have said would be use like a slurry ground, flow point or something, because some of the tiles are loose as well. So if I use a slurry, it would get right underneath any little gaps and stuff and help it sit better, less rocking in the future, and grab it better. So I definitely would think a slurry would be preferable. But a slurry grout then, with all the low points and stuff, you're always going to have puddles, aren't you? So, otherwise, maybe joint it, a polymeric cement. And then any low points, apparently that stuff permeable, water can travel through, so less chance of actually having any puddles in the future, but it's not as strong as a slurry. A slurry is super strong. Pain in the ass to clean, but super strong. So what do I do? So here's just a little look at the joints. They're really quite deep. Deep and wide. The slurry stuff would get underneath it and grip it loads. But the polymeric stuff, the joint it, won't grip it loads, it'll just do its job. So we come to the conclusion they definitely don't want puddles, which is fair enough. You definitely don't want puddles because that really piss you off. We're going to go for the sticky sand stuff. We're going to go for the joint it type material. Might not be that brand. But what would you think? What would you preferably want to do? And also as well, they want it sealed as well. So normally I would grout it all first. Otherwise, if I seal over the grout, then it's not as permeable. This is the stuff we're using, Indian stone sealer, and we're using an empty joint it, and we're going to use a roller. So as you can see here on the step as well, what I've done, I put some gaffer tape underneath it to hold it in position. So let's fill up your tub and give it a good soaking. So the water's about 1 inch higher than the actual compound. Let it soak in. So normally when I've ever jointed any patios, the patio's been freshly laid, so you shouldn't seal it straight away. You should leave it for 6 to 12 months for any efflorescence to actually come out, otherwise it can be trapped under the seal, blah blah blah. But in this case, I've done the seal first before I've done the grout, and it wipes off so much easier because it hasn't got that sticky surface. So that bit I do like. Right, I'll show you how I use it and take it out the tub. So it's in the tub next to me. I've soaked it in the water. I've just got a trowel like this. So I'm just going to give it a little swirl, just make sure everything's mixed up, which it is. Dump it down and just push it in. Scrape off as much excess as you can. And just push it in with your trowel. As much stuff as you can clear off it, the better. pick a trowel up and just push it in. Completely soaked. So when it's completely soaked, it's a little bit heavier. And when it's a bit heavier, it goes down further. And dump it in. And because I've sealed it already, it's scraping off the top much better than something which hasn't been sealed. Which has actually made my life a little bit easier today. Which I'm happy with. When you go over the joint, make sure you brush off any excess, because you can have stain marks. Even though it's a dry compound, I have had this issue before, and the answer to solve it was time will make it better. Over, well, I don't know, I couldn't say exactly how much time, but apparently they say the sun will bleach any stain marks off. So you finish a section, you brush the section. It's all finished up. There's a good inch of water now on there, so I'll just put the top on, seal it, use it some other time. The conclusion to the video, and here's me doing a little test again. So both pots, both got holes in them. This one here is compacted, and this one here is just loosely filled. So let's pour some water in it to the top of each one and see how permeable this stuff actually is. So this stuff has been compacted. This stuff has not been compacted. And see what happens. Both got the same amount. As you can see, the water's coming out of the one on the right much quicker. Well, there we go, experiment over. So the one on the right only took 3 minutes for the water to pass through it, and the one on the left took about 18.5 minutes to pass through. So experiment over, it does work.